I am Honorable Shina Peller. I represent the people of Iseyin, Tesiwaju, Kajola, Iwajoa Federal Constituency. I am from Oyo State. I also stand as the voice of the common man in the Federal House of Representatives. Yes, that's really helped me in life, and may he so rest in peace. He died 22 years ago. My father, late Professor Peller, who I can describe, who was a very peaceful, religious, business-minded person. I want to say that I learned a lot from him. My father has always been, a people's person. He was a people's person. And we learned that from him. There was a time that I had a competition, a football competition for his remembrance. That was in 2017 Peller Unity Cup. The only reason that made me to do that is because of his love for Okiogun. That's his region that we come from. Because when my father was alive, anytime that he sees anybody from Okiogun, he's always treating that person like his own family. So, and I'll say that I learned a lot from him like that. Even business-wise, every time that we're not in school, we're always following him on his magical tours. Because he's always going on. Sometimes he does this tour, we do tour within the country and we do outside the country. But when we're not in school, we're always with him. We work and we get paid. So at that time, I remember that I work in different capacity. I've worked with him as stage assistant. I've worked with him during the time that we are having our road shows, because at that time there was no DSTV, there was no social media. It was more of us going on a parade and having to talk, to people that come tonight and watch this show and everything. So he made me to actually be on the microphone, you understand, to do that. Sometimes we go to like areas that they are Konk Yoruba and you have to go and learn, how to bring people out. Outside that, I remember that he developed that problem-solving ability in me, because I remember that during that time, after every shows, he normally complains about having too many people in the hall, which does not correlate with the money made for the night. So that made him to tell me to start some sort of investigation. So I remember that time that we created like the tickets in a way that it has the counterfort part where you can actually give one to people, then you can do your balance, make sure that at least you put the right account in place. So I learned a lot from him, and that is also, he really made me to be very independent, because at that time that we were in school, I remember that growing up, I did not really have the time to spend with my parents per se, because we were always going on tours. So there was a time I was staying with some family friends when I was in secondary school, then getting into university, and that really helped me to be very independent. When we were in school, I had already developed interest in business from school. During the time of ASU strike, I've always been a restless person. When ASU is on strike and everybody is sitting at home, I don't want to see. So what I do at that time is, I used to go to Lagos, go and buy a few designer clothes and come back, to Ibadan, because we're living in Ibadan, then sell, to the older ones in the area, and also take to schools and sell to the rich ones at school. So at that time, I would say that I already developed interest in business. And even at that time, I had the foresight to see that our labor market was being inconsistent. And I'd already made up my mind that I would rather want to be an employer of labor than, to have any white-collar job. So even from school, I already made up my mind that I want to play in the role of being an employer of labor instead of actually working as an employee. My success story is a very long one, very fascinating and interesting. And I would say it has like maybe two segments, because I have my hands into different things. You know, even as a businessman, you know, I've played in the oil and gas industry and the entertainment industry, the building and construction and all sorts. So I would say everything started, you know, like I said, even from school, that I already developed interest, you know, in doing business. So I started doing a lot of procurement jobs, you know, for people that I've met while I was networking. And from there, I went more into the downstream sector of oil and gas, whereby you get order to supply petroleum products like PMS, TPK, or AGO at that time. Buy, you know, have money to buy like 90,000 liters, that's about 3 trucks. So we rent trucks and you make supply. Most of the time, the supply out of town, you know, always gives you more profit margin. So I'd like to do more of out of town. But the risk then there is, they might tell you, for example, and say that they've gotten a supply for 105 naira. I will end up using my own product money to buy the product. I'll rent a truck, then supply. On getting there, the person that got that supply for you might tell you that, oh, you got there late, and they got the supply already. Then you are stuck with arguing with the owners of the truck, because they are telling you that they don't want you to keep the trucks anymore, and you have to just sell the product. Then you will be under pressure to sell the product at a loss, because the people they now give to you is, number one, they will be pricing at a lower price. Secondly, they might not even pay you the full money. They can tell you they'll pay you half now and everything. So that made me to expand. Now I started seeing the reason why I should own my own trucks. So I started, you know, got a few loans and decided to own trucks. From owning my trucks, I saw the reason why I should have filling stations. So I was doing that, and until I developed interest in nightlife, to go into entertainment. And if I say developed interest, it was not actually to open a club. I've just always been the going out type, even from school days and all. So there was a club then called Grotto in Lagos on Etimiang. I used to be a very good friend to them. So I went into that business as like a rescue plan for the club, because the club was not actually doing so well at that time. So I was called in to become a partner in the club. So investing in that club, I changed the name of the club to Lux, which is luxury in French. And I did some sort of changes to their management structure, and also to do some facelift to the club. And after I took over the club made at least like triple of what they were making before. But as time went on, the partnership got sour, and we had to dissolve the partnership. So when we dissolved the partnership, I was left with just my name, Lux. So, and at that time, I'd already developed interest in opening a nightclub. And they said, what is working? I thought it's working well. So I decided to, you know, check out nightclubs in the world, what level they are on and everything. And I decided to say, okay, I want to open my own club. At that time, I had the name Lux, and my brand name has always been Aquila. So from Aquila and Lux, so I formed Quilux, so which I would define as that word to be a redefinition of nightlife, because Quilux actually really defined nightlife in Nigeria. So that's the story behind that. There's a saying that says that in what everyone wants to be in life, the greatest setback that anyone can have is to be a politically illiterate. In as much as we want to be a serial entrepreneur, or you want to be the best at your profession or whatever, if you know nothing about politics, you know, it's so dangerous, you know, to you, because it's the same politics that we elect leaders, that will make policies that will affect your businesses and your personal life. And for me, I believe that in as much as I have businesses that are doing well, I still understand that I'm just a fraction of my environment. And my environment is being affected by government policies. And we cannot continue to fold our arms to watch things go bad. So that made me to want to participate in politics. But me vying for a position in politics has never been what I wanted to do. I've always wanted to support somebody. But it got to a stage that I just decided to be like, whoever that I support, what if the person disappoints me and the person doesn't, do what I'll do? And you've not seen anybody that have lived forever in this world. So at least the average age for a Nigerian in Nigeria is at least, I think, about 70 years. You understand? And if I'm already over 40 and I'm still entrusting, my future in somebody's hand, I think that is a bit risky. So that's one reason that I decided to say I will not be there to blame myself, because I know that I would not fail. So it's better that I just, get involved in politics. And it was just something that I did as a trial, And when I was going there, what I said to myself is, my decision will always be for the people, not even for myself. So even getting into politics and joining my party, or Progressive Congress, was because of the people, not because of myself. It was easier for me to win an election with the opposition party than even my party. Because if you look at what happened in the state, the opposition party won in my state. The chairman of the opposition party is my stepfather. So it was easier for me to get a ticket to do everything. But with the situation we have now, especially the youth, I believe that Nigeria has gotten to a stage where we need to be looking at a paradigm shift of power, where we should give an opportunity to the youth. But it's not going to come overnight. So the closest time for us to work and to achieve something will be 4 years. And the only person that can guarantee that 4 years at that time was President Muhammadu Buhari, him completing his second term. If another person had won that election at that time, it means by 2023, that person will be vying for a second term. So it was a decision that I made because of the people, not just for myself. If it was just for myself, I would be in the opposition party, because it would be easier for me to win an election there. But I know the reason why we need to create something now, and we have to work towards it by 2023. Yeah, there are two sides to that. The system is ready. The Nigerian system is ready for the youth to take over. The youth ourselves are not ready. That is the truth there. The youth, we are more of waking up at every election and putting all the drama and all the interest, and after the election we relax. We do not understand that we have to be consistent. We do not understand that we have to take politics seriously. But the system itself is ready. Even the President Muhammadu Buhari, has done a major part of the job by signing the Not Too Young to Run bill. You understand? But people just need to understand that things will not happen overnight. People need to understand that you have to put in work. You understand? Even when I left Lagos to go back to my constituency, is saying in my local government to go and run. I saw a lot of people that were saying something like, why House of Rep? You should run for Senate. Oh, no, it's governor that fits you. It's not what fits you that we're talking about. It is where you want to play. That is important. That's why even at that time, I was looking at like few of the youth that are running for presidency. Nigeria is not at that level that you will just pick up a new party and think you can become president overnight. You understand? We need to understand that we need to take over the structure of the National Assembly and even the local government areas first. That way, then you can now start spreading people up. So for now, before I believe that we're not ready, but between now and 2023, I believe that we should charge ourselves, you understand, to be able to take positions. And for me, I'll be coming up with few programs, to call the attention of the youth to politics and governance very soon. And I'm sure that a lot of people would like to ride on that as well. The obligation of the legislator is divided into three sectors. Number one, the first one is legislation itself, the lawmaking business. The second one is constituency outreach. You actually reaching out to your constituency to make their life better. The third one is the oversight functions. For oversighting the MDAs, and that's where you see in the National Assembly where they have committees. Everybody's in one committee or the other where you oversight a certain ministry or departments or agencies. So on the legislation side, I have done a lot in the Night Assembly. The first, I've moved a motion and a bill on the need to tackle the scourge of rape and sexual offenses against children and women in general. According to UNICEF, at least 1 out of 4 children in Nigeria is being sexually molested before the age of 18. And I believe that these are people that the government is not really catering for. So I decided to move that motion that time so that at least I can give those people, those voiceless people the voice. And I'm happy that even just, I think about a week ago, the government actually approved the sexual offenders register, to be open in every state, which is one of my resolutions in that motion and the bill. So I've done that. There are still other bills that I'm working on. I'm working on a bill on national orientation because I believe that our orientation in Nigeria is faulty generally. So that is really taking a lot of research, and I'm working with the orientation office, to get few information on that. Apart from that, I submitted petition on the House and called the attention of the National Assembly or even the Ministry of Works, to the deplorable state of our road in Oyo State, especially the Oyo-Isenyi Road, which is it's just a road that it takes about 30 minutes or 40 minutes to drive on. But now, it's taking up to 3 hours or 4 hours because of the state of the road. So I used that opportunity to call the attention of the government as well, and had a courtesy visit to the Minister for Works, to make sure that that is being done. Outside that, I've done a lot of, contributions to, few motions that I believe that affects the voice of that affects the common man. And as the voice of the common man, I'm always interested, in any motion on any bill that affects the life of the common man. So the one for the need for the government to commence on the population census, which is long overdue. The last one was done in 2006. So it means that between 2006 and now, that's 13 years. The government doesn't have a record of any citizen that is below 13 years old. So how do you want to cater for them? It's very, very important. So this one I'm involved on as well. And I remember that I supported another motion that was moved. I think it was a bill that was moved by the Speaker on the need to make our government to allocate at least 40% of the budget on capital projects. It's very, very important, for this as well, because with that, it means that the government will be able to provide infrastructures, especially in the rural areas, because most of the people are abandoning the rural area now for the urban area. And I think that is one thing that the government should focus on. So this is what I've done, on the side of the legislation. But on the side of the constituency outreach, I have a program called Hon.Shina Empowerment Program. The Hon.Shina Empowerment Program, that is an acronym. Hon.Shina is an acronym for all the problems that affect my constituency and Nigeria as a whole. The S is for security, H, healthcare, I, infrastructural development, N, natural resources, A, academic development, A, agriculture, Y, youth empowerment, and O, for opportunity for women. So this is a program that I've set up, and I made sure that I engage the service of at least 21 people to work on this program as a structure for the program. I'm representing 4 local governments, so I have 16 of them being to be the zonal coordinators representing a particular zone, and I have 4 of them to be the local government coordinators. So they supervise the operations of the 16 at each local government level, and I have 1 person who is the administrator who supervises the operations of the program. So the program already has given empowerment to people in terms of providing materials, to people. We've done a full registration of people in my own constituency. While we did that registration is at least we'll have access to data to know how many people that we have to cater for. Also, I've done my first town hall feedback meeting, which I did, I think it was even in my first 2 months. I decided to bring everybody from my constituency together to give them a feedback of what I've done and the plan that I have ahead. The ones that have not done well, they were able to call my attention to it, so I'll be able to take corrections. And also, we're able to put our heads together to know how I can be able to bring solutions to the problem. The third one is the oversight function. Oversight function, I'm in various committees. I'm in a committee on Army, I'm in committee on local Nigerian content and development, content monitoring and development. I'm on committee of public procurement, and a few other committees, but we'll be focusing more on passing the budget, because we are trying to resolve the anomalies in our budgetary system, trying to maintain the January-December budget cycle. So that has really, give us a lot of, put a lot of stress on us, working on that as well. And we've done few oversight functions on Army. So these are things I've done so far. Yeah, I was able to accomplish it because I developed interest in it. I was committed to it. I was ready for it. And I would say my strategy, for me, in Nigeria, people just see politicians as liars. People that come to you and they promise you things until you vote for them. But during my campaign, first of all, I want to say that if you follow my campaign, you will see that I actually ran one of the most sophisticated campaign as a House of Rep member in Nigeria. If you go back and check my campaign, you can check through the Shina 2019 social media pages. You can see how sophisticated my campaign was. But one strategy, in that campaign that I believe really worked for me, that made me to win with a landslide, was I was not just promising people. I was actually providing solutions to the problem of the people. It's a different thing if you go to people and you promise them, if I'm there, I'll do X, Y, Z. But you are telling them that if I'm there, I'm here now, I'm doing X and Y. When I'm there, I will do Z. Then it makes more sense. While I was doing my campaign, I noticed that a lot of people, a lot of my constituents do not have access to potable water. Whether I'll win my election or not, I decided to use my own money and my influence to bring in 4 boreholes per local government. In total, without being in office, I gave 16 boreholes to my people. Without being in government, I built a laboratory in the school for my people. Without being in government, I built a library. Without being in government, and I'm not even running for a position of a governor, I built also for the NYSC in my state, which is not just something for my constituency. So it was just a matter of showing to people what you can do other than just giving them empty promises. So I think that is the winning strategy. And even at that time that we did the election, it was the result was unprecedented, because I won every polling unit, not even ward. In my jurisdiction, I won in every polling unit. And what it does is it shows that the people are expecting a lot from you. And that's why even being in office is like the job is just getting started, because, the expectation is so high. I've always just been myself. I play the role at every specific time. You can see me at the National Assembly as Hon.Shina Peller. You can meet me at night as the king of nightlife. I've always just been myself. I don't live, or I don't force myself to, live what I want people to believe about me. So I've just always been myself in whatever that I do. So, like I say to people, the most important thing is results that you bring to the table. As a House of Rep member, are you performing? Yes. As a father, am I taking good responsibility of my children? Yes. As a husband, yes. Yeah, my advice to them is, first of all, to believe that nothing is impossible. My advice to them is always to think outside the box. Like I told you when I was in school, I already made up my mind that I would rather want to be an employer of labor than to be an employee. So you should always try to set your dream so high and believe that it can work. So that's my advice. Believe that you can achieve it, and you will achieve it. Don't be discouraged. Everything in life has an advantage and has a disadvantage. Somebody like me, I focus more on the advantages of everything. I don't look at disadvantage if I want to do something, because there's nothing in life that doesn't have a disadvantage. But a lot of people focus more on disadvantage. That is why it's very, very hard for them to get things done. So my advice to the youth is to always believe that something is doable. And once you put your mind to it, you should know that you'll achieve it and focus more on the advantages. For a young person, first of all, don't use any other person's story to build your story. You are a unique person to yourself. You understand? You need to just understand that you want to influence your environment. And there are two things. It's either you are adding value or you are depreciating the value of your environment in whatever that you do. Yesterday, I was at a book launch of just that book launch is just like a kids book. It's called Fubi and the story of planting or something like that. It's something that develops the kids' interest in planting, in agriculture. And that was why I supported that person. And I said to that person, you're doing so well. I appreciate what you're doing, because now nobody had that before. If while I was growing up, I was able to read that book, I'm sure I would have developed interest in agriculture. You understand? So you cannot look at other people. Just make sure that as in your own level, you are adding value. So as a youth, they should just look for something that they have passion for. Look for something that you have passion for and you can be committed to. Then do that thing and you see that you're adding value. And when you're adding value, definitely your environment will appreciate you.